All right.
And we're back. Part three.
All right. So where are we gonna go with this one?
Um,
Let's talk about you. You got any plans of growing? I mean, are you gonna when are you gonna no hiring? Just gonna keep it just you?
nope. So this year, we're going to focus on the podcast. I'm going to focus on this contract work, running sites, and then start building relationships. That's what this is going to be. If if Nick starts fucking tapping people in the butt and saying let's go, I might do that. But I mean, I'm going to start charging astronomical amounts of money to, if you want me personally to do it, you're more than welcome to. This last year, we ate a lot of shit this year just trying to do right. You know what I mean? So I took on projects that didn't have a big enough budget, and I've done favors for people and done a lot of that kind of stuff, and I'm absolutely done with it. So for everything that's moving forward, it's either going to come from like this is so and so who enjoyed my work, and that's where you got the number from. You know what I mean? Or it's going to be like a clientele that has a big budget, that knows exactly what they want, that wants something perfect, like the custom carpentry stuff's like that, some enormous pergolas and that kind of stuff. But we take our time and it's perfect, right? And you can't do that for cheap. And I don't want to do cheap shit anymore. Like we took on so much of everything that first year. Like I think we're turning, I don't know, 15 jobs a week down, something like that.
That's
And
a good
then
position to be in.
it was fucking mint position to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But up until that point, I was just like, yep. I'll do 4 things at a time every day, doing 12 and 16-hour days, and
Never stretching yourself.
yeah, and you sleep when you sleep, but the rest of your life takes a hit on that. And then at the end of the day, you start looking around at, if I started investing this much time into something else, what would I be making? And then you're like, this is getting nuts. So I enjoy running sites. I enjoy choreographing the dance. You know what I mean? I'm very good at it. I'm very good at communication, having people come in and go, giving them the space they need, that kind of stuff. I really enjoy that. I need to get back into some sort of teaching again. I miss that the most, I think, where when I was running guys, I was constantly teaching.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that's missing right now. So
That was one of the hardest things for me was learning how to teach it as far
mhm.
as finishing drywall or running the tools. Because for the longest time, most of it I learned on my own, aside from Instagram, or I'd run into a finisher on a site somewhere and ask him for a tip. But you know how that is, that
Totally.
most of the time people won't even give you any advice. Um, think you think you're coming for their money.
Right.
But no, that was hard learning how to teach other people how to run the tools. That's a task in itself. Like it's another skill, like being able to teach. It's one thing to do it, another thing to teach it.
At the end of the day, you need to lead. That
Mm-hmm.
that is what's important. So there are going to be guys that are a sponge, that they can just visually watch you, and then they'll come back and go, okay, what about this specific thing, and teach me how you do that. As opposed to some guys, you need to be standing over teaching them all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and that is one, it's exhausting, and two, I'm down for teaching anyone that'll put the time in. But there are people that they're not quite unteachable. You know what I mean? But if you don't want to put the time in, and if you don't want to hustle,
That's what I was just getting
what
ready
the
to say.
fuck am I teaching you how to do it for? Right? Like you're never gonna do this, right?
No.
So what are we doing here? I touch on that on one of my solo ones, where it's just you have to find the right people and you need to teach them, because teaching somebody that's going to be a moderate guy, the world needs them, right?
Yeah.
But teaching them super advanced techniques that you've picked up and them not getting it, or them, taking the time to get them to get it, but they're never going to use it, then what the fuck are you doing? You also need to learn how to talk to people, because everybody has their own carrot of what makes them work. Some people just, they don't take it the same way as other guys will. Like, if I find somebody that is a good learner that I'm going to start teaching, it's almost like badgering. Like, it's not quite abusive, but it's like you're chirping all the time, and that kind of builds that little bit of competition. And you're never going to lose because you taught them everything, right? But that is how I like to teach. Is you find somebody that is competitive, you have them watch you until you go, do you think you can do this? Okay. And then now let's do it together. Okay. Now who's faster? Right. And then you tell that person that they're slow.
Yeah. You've got to put them in their place every once in a while.
100%.
I still run laps around Wes. I'll make sure. I hope he's listening.
Terry is my example of that. It's the guy. He's the guy that used to. We built that big commercial space. This is the one that Brad taped, the big, enormous, $32 million building, and there was no one else around. So when I was like, we gotta frame all this, and we gotta do it this week. I'm like, we can't slow down because of you. This is like 3 weeks worth of work. And when we're not hitting checkpoints, I'm like, you're fucking dragging us down here, man. I'd be doing better by myself, like that kind of shit. And by the end of that site, like, this is a guy that's dancing circles around people that have been doing that job for 4 or 5 years. You know what I mean? And then at the end of it all, the guys look at you and go, what the fuck? But you've now taught them how to do it, and how to do it quickly, and how to do it properly. And I don't know. I can't teach people that aren't willing to put that kind of work in. I can, and I will, but I mean, it's not fun.
Well, you can't teach hustle.
No.
You've either got
that's a perfect way of putting that. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, you can't teach hustle. It's, you either got it or you don't.
Yeah, discipline's a big one, but it is the hustle, man. Like, just put the time in.
I've had guys that come in, they just go through the motion, and then you've got another guy that's doing he's boxed 15 sticks a bead while you're still working on your first doorway wrap. What are you doing over there? Like, there's no explanation other than you're not hustling. You've been doing it the same amount of time as this guy, and we've come to confrontations on my job site because of that. Like, we actually had a guy quit because I had to call him out, like, hey, you've been working here just as long as that guy, and he's doing twice the amount of work. I'm not paying him twice the amount as you.
Right.
Why is he doing twice the amount of work? Because that's the other guys know, he knows the same thing. He's thinking, I'm not making twice the amount as this guy. Why am I doing twice the amount of work?
And that is what I mean by leadership, is you've got to stick up for the guys that are good too. Right? You have to have those conversations.
People that take care of you.
Yeah. And that, you don't have to fire people, but it's like, listen, I think your skills could be fucking used elsewhere. Like, maybe you need to clean up for a week, at half your wage, and then we'll revisit next week. Like, are you serious or no? The people that take care of you got to take care of. Yeah, absolutely.
Travel is a different trade. It's not for everybody. It's a niche. I feel like, you've got to want it. You've got to want to do it. You've got to enjoy it. It's just not for everybody.
To be good at it, you need to want all those things, because you can absolutely butcher drywall. Absolutely. And you can butcher it and hand it off to a half decent taper and it looks fine. So what did you learn? Nothing. Right. I don't know. I think drywall is one of those things that if you have a lot of pride in your work, it is a perfect job.
No, you have to take pride in your work, because it's going to show if you don't.
Well, yeah, it's I had this rant last year about how taping's just a dick measuring competition because you know, at the end of the day it's painted, nobody sees any of that shit. But
Uh-huh.
like, at, you know, like you take a look at some of your guys' work and it is like crisp, and it's
Uh-huh.
and then you sit back and you're like, who's that for really? Because it's not the customer. Right, it's like for us and like,
Uh-huh.
you know, for the community. Yeah, like wait, well, like this, I don't know any other profession that you are doing more work and spending more time on detail for no other reason than to say that you can do it.
Uh-huh.
I fucking love that.
Make it so easy to do the detail work. You know what I mean? If you get a box running perfect,
Mhm.
like I can go behind it and touch up with a 5-inch knife. There's a
Yeah,
very rarely stuff's got to be floated out. I mean, those boxes, the tools are where it's at. If
yeah,
you're not using the tools, like you're still living under a rock.
yeah. Well, and I mean, like even with that dial, that's what I'm getting into now is understanding like, you know, what if I just set it a little bit different, you
Hmm.
know, and then okay, all right. It's I don't know. The mud consistency is never the same perfectly, at least not for me. I do sponges, right? Like two
Yeah.
sponges full or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, there just is no knife that I'm gonna use that'll give me that crisp of a coat, right? Like I love the tools. And there's
Now,
a
what
method
about
to it.
that? When you're running your boxes, like a lot of the times I will run it with my brake on. Have you toyed with
Totally.
that? Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's a real short run or if I feel like it's leaving too much, I don't know what it's doing like functionally. I guess it's just dragging like a knife would as opposed to running. But like it's almost like a scraping the wall as opposed to running the box. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Is it catching like on the paper?
No,
Is that
not
what?
at all. No, no, no. Like for instance, when I do like above a door, if there's a seam, I'll run it once and then I'll hit that brake and I'll run it a second time. And so it doesn't have any of this going on. It's just a straight pull,
Hmm.
as opposed to like braking to come off of the wall. And
Yeah.
I feel like it does crisp it up a little bit.
That's how I like to keep brake held on mine.
Yeah.
Yes, I got it. I learned that from using the wizard because you kind of control it. There is no brake on it. So by
Okay.
floating the face of it, you really control the box.
Right.
And
So what do you find that you're getting out of that? Like,
I can keep like a lot of the times when I'm boxing bead, have you ever like we use paper face metal bead,
mhm,
and the issue I was running into was the blade would catch on the paper and tear it,
right.
which would cause like a obstruction in the bead. It just looks bad once you
Mhm,
tear that paper and get back down to the metal. Um, but if you're able to keep the wheels up off of the bead and just keep the blade, you don't want to pick it up too much because you hollow it out. But
mhm,
there's that fine line of controlling it to where because that's what it's catch like that's why they've got the bead wheels on the axle is
right.
to avoid that. But if you run that, you've got to keep that box perfectly straight the whole way down, and it's just much easier to keep those wheels off of the bead for me. I run the
Right.
box on one, and it comes out full every time.
Brilliant.
So, and
Yeah.
another thing is like I'll keep my box angled towards the bead, just like you would a knife, to where if you have excess, it
Okay.
overflows on your edge.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So you're
and
almost
you can't do that with the bead boxes because, like I said, you've got to keep that box flat. If you
right.
bead wheels, or what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So if you
North Star has that like little hook thing too now.
I've never ran any North Star tools. I've always been curious
Same.
with them,
Yeah,
but
Brad, you suck. No.
but no, Columbia's good. I couldn't see myself buying better tools.
Yeah, and I do get where it comes from. But I've never put a Columbia tool down and been like, I don't like this anymore. Or, you know, like, wow, that's really not working like it should without, you know, like, yeah, for sure they do. And then you go, oh, it's this, or oh, it's that, or, you know, I should change my blade, or I should, you know, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. It's when I come from the other side of it all with framing, and doing structural work and all that other kind of stuff, you'll have a brand where you're like, this thing's a piece of shit. And it's we're done with it. I don't find that as much. Like the level 5 auto taper is still a great auto taper.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just prefer the Predator. It's lighter, it's nicer.
Hmm.
When the Predator kicks off when it's out of mud, you can still run it dry.
Yeah.
The level 5 doesn't do that.
Oh no.
It's got a little thing and it comes up like this and you're done. And if you go more than that, you break it.
Ooh.
Yeah. As a matter of fact.
So that's how you know.
That's how I know. So when I bought this, we went to CSR and kind of picked everything up. And my first big house, and I'm fucking raring to go, right? And I got the music cranked, everything's mixed perfectly. I run the auto taper for about an hour and a half and snap this. I was like, fuck.
Was that your first time ever running one, like an auto taper?
No, but I had run the Predator prior to that. So you could just
Oh
run
yeah,
it,
you
run
told me
it
that.
dry, run
Yeah,
it dry,
yeah,
run it dry. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this thing? And I like leaned into it. Perfect.
yeah. Dude, so my first time running the Predator, nobody ever showed me how to run a bazooka. The best
Yeah.
knowledge I had on bazooka was watching Phil run it on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even take the time to watch YouTube videos. You know, Columbia is great about putting out informational videos on them.
Totally.
23-year-old me is not taking the time to do that. You know, we'll pick it
No,
up and learn it.
that's right. I got this
Wrong.
shit figured out.
I was putting it back in the corner and going back to hand taping by the end of the day. But at the end of that first job, I went to clean it out, and I'd heard a guy talk about his old Columbia taper, how you had to unscrew the cap to get it off.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to figure out how to take the cap off of this thing, and I just started unscrewing all these screws on top of it. Next thing I
Perfect.
know, the cap's not off, all the screws are off. So at that point, I'm watching a YouTube video on how to get the cap off. Get the cap off, and there are all these little parts that are down inside of the mud, inside of the head, just completely, basically ruin the cap.
Nice.
And at that point, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm washing the Predator out, and like had to call Columbia Tools to this. Like I didn't know who to call. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll call Columbia Tools. And they sent me everything I needed to replace it, walked me
That's
right
wicked.
through it. Yeah. And even sent me swag, like sent me his shirt and a hat.
I must say that about level 5. They sent this right away.
Yeah,
Like they didn't ask for a bill, nothing. They were just
no,
like, yep, it's in the mail.
I've got a couple of DeWalt handles, flat box handles, the mini ones.
Okay.
And DeWalt and Level 5 are the same company.
Okay.
I couldn't find a replacement. I broke the handle. Like I was walking around videoing one day at work and just stepped on my flat box handle and snapped it. I
Yep.
thought, damn it. Couldn't find replacement parts anywhere. So I think I messaged DeWalt, but Level 5 ended up messaging me back, and they sent me out replacement parts for it for free, never asked any questions. I mean, just hooked me up on it.
Yeah, I think I was on the phone for 2 minutes before I was on with like a regular, like I was shocked with their customer service. I just
That's like
I
the
don't
norm in the drywall tool community, I think.
I think it is too. I would attest to that with Columbia, but I never had any fucking problems with anything. Now I also take the shit apart for content, and like I've had my matrix handles totally apart and back together, so I kind of know how to fix most of the stuff. I'm gonna send my Predator and CSR
Yeah.
and just have them do a once over on it. Like it's when I was talking to them during Black Friday, they were like, "Yeah, we do all that shit, do all the maintenance, and they got all the parts there."
I would
Like,
love to check that. Like, we don't have a drywall superstore like that. Like,
mm-hmm.
Lowe's, and they might have a section of pans and knives, but there's no like stores with auto tools in them. Like nothing like that.
It's my third pop, sugar. Um,
Getting all wound up for PS5
that's
tonight.
right. That's right. Actually, this is a fucking Pepsi Zero, so there's no sugar in it, but I'll pretend. Um, I talk a lot about CSR for that reason, where, like anything pertaining to taping, that is exactly where I go. it's all there. You can hold it. That showroom is exactly what I want. Right. When I'm going to go look at a specific thing. Yeah, I definitely don't shout out FBM as much as I should, but all my material I do not buy at CSR. I buy my corner bead, and everything to do with my taping stuff comes from CSR. But like when I'm doing steel stud or it's essentially anything outside of that, it all comes from FBM because they can deliver. They're fucking mint.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Eric's gonna be on the podcast, hopefully. Eric Stella from FBM. Give him a call.
Have you got to check out the tech dry tool?
No, and I want to really bad.
Corey's really cool, man. You should reach out to him.
Yeah?
Yeah, dude. He's awesome. He's wanting me to come out to, I think he's in Omaha.
Okay.
Kind of do like the same deal that we did with Fresco to make some content, shoot some videos of like his shop. Maybe work for a week. That's what I'm kind of trying to get into, is like traveling around, working with different people for a week.
Why would you not do that?
I know, right? Get to see the world.
That's what I mean. Start a fucking podcast and just
get some jobs lined up for me. I want to come up to Canada here sometime soon.
Yeah, well, that's what we should do. Is we should find like 2 10 or 20,000 board foot houses right around Black Friday. Just have every fucking taper on the planet come and pitch in.
Just bust some work out. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah, yeah, in the middle of nowhere, and we'll party in it. I mean, we won't party in it.
It'll be all work, no fun.
There'll be no. Anyways, this might happen, so we'll stop talking about it. Yeah, man, I thought about the taping Olympics. Like there's some cool shit that should be going on.
Cool. Like why isn't there a hotel somewhere that they just bring all the tapers in it? Like, see who's fastest.
Honestly,
they've got it for bricklayers. I've seen them do it.
The guy that taught me I think his name was Noel, was like an enormous human being that worked with Pat. And they used to go, well, I don't even know if this is fucking true, but he had a shirt that had the Beat the Pros tour. And you would go and compete. This is what it sounded like. Framing, boarding, whatever the fuck they had you doing. But it was like speed stuff. It sounded like it was exactly what we're talking about. The Beat the Pros tour. I got to look into it now. I haven't thought about that in a long time. But I think the taping industry needs this.
I think it'd be awesome. I always enjoy seeing people that are really fast to run the bazooka.
Oh, I would do it and fumble my ass around to be a part of it. I would be, I would fucking, yeah, I'd bring my own trophy. It'd be awesome. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. It's going to be a product of Brawley's Dad podcast one day.
You know what I mean?
This clip.
Absolutely.
We'll coming back to this in 10 years at the Drywall Olympics.
Yeah. Right? I'll fucking host it like Joe Rogan. He's running it. He's mixing 90. You know what I mean? You fucking call in the fights.
Oh my
God. Yeah, that is more about what this is about to me. Is getting this community a little bit closer together. You know, being at CSR, I thought nobody was even going to know who I was. And I didn't know who anybody was either. I leaned over to Brad and was like, I don't fucking know who any of these people are. I do, but I mean, you know, what are your first and last names? I don't fucking know. Right. And when
I barely know you by Sean. I know you more by Broly's dad.
Totally. And that's exactly what I mean. Like, there's a ton of respect behind that statement. I mean, you know, like I met Wolfgang, had no idea who he was, right? Kersey had to be like, do you not know who this is? And I was like, no. And a super humble human being. The two
kept talking about, dude, I met Wolfgang at CSR. I'm like, who's Wolfgang?
Yeah. No, but and that's what I mean by a humble human being. He could have his fucking face over everything, and he doesn't. You know, like he just has quality tools, and I think he was there with his wife. Like, they just seemed great. They seem like great people.
What about I don't even know if he's related to this, but you were touching on it a little bit earlier, the three-way. I've never worked with that. I'd like to work with.
I bought a bunch for this house. So I'm going to do a ton of content. He's going to come on. It's a neat. I thought it was paper, and it's like those corner beads you can get that aren't steel, but they've got like the cardboard insert.
Like vinyl, isn't it? Almost.
I'm not. I haven't got one open to see, to be honest, but it is firm. Like
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
paper.
thicker paper, vinyl, something along those lines.
Oh yeah, like I thought that this was going to be 3 pieces of paper that you would kind of stuff into the corner, and there wouldn't be like a 3-way that you could see. This is much better than that. It's impressive.
Huh.
I've got one of the corners done now. The other part of that is you can stop shy with the Predator. So you're not worried about over too much or anything like that. It's like everything's back about a half inch, maybe an inch at the most. And then this thing covers, like, it's huge.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. And then as it comes out, it tapers off with the paper. Like it.
Yeah, I saw that. Kind of like
itself.
It looks like no coat or level line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about it. I put one in and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's quite a bit of time for me.
Yeah,
right?
I think time consuming.
Yeah, I think that's going to have its place for me in large rooms, like family room. You know what I mean? Like
like a big area,
big display rooms or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, why not? Right?
Yeah, I think they've definitely got their place in the market, especially for people getting started on around the bazooka. Because how hard is it to get those cuts whenever you're first learning?
Oh, it's brutal. And then you look back and it's 4 inches too shy on the other side because it's been pulling. And you're like, oh, okay, I'll just redo that. Yeah. The other thing that I was thinking about is how difficult corners are if you're not a taper. Like if you're just, Joe drywaller that's taping on the side kind of thing. I think that would be great for them. And I don't think it was overly expensive for the box. I think the box has like 25 or 30 in it. It's like that's a house worth,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's neat. That's coming down the pipe. There'll be tons of too much content of that. I think about that sometimes where people are like, you want to make some content about this, and then I like go a little overboard. but I liked it.
No, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. And it's good stuff. The guy from Rip It Gloves is sending me a bunch of gloves too.
Nice.
I really like those.
Oh,
the nylon, like plastic blue gloves is what I started using. And like every time I try and put them on my enormous hands, they tear in half, and then you're fucking yelling, and you know what I mean? It's stupid. So then I got into these mechanic heavy gloves. Like that's what I trim with actually. And those were working pretty good, but you're going through 2 or 3 pairs a day. Yeah. The Rip It gloves, I went and bought a couple, but I got extra large, and I guess there's double extra large.
Wow.
So that's what he's sending me. But they're great. Like you would have to wash them and bring them back. But
yeah, I've got a case of them here. Pairs right here beside me.
Yeah.
I really like them for running the taper. You don't get paper cuts, as sissy as that sounds. No, I really like wearing the Rip It gloves because you can just take them off and your hands are clean. There's no more washing your hands in a bucket of water before you touch the radio, touch your phone, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Hands are clean.
I wore gloves. I don't know. I want to say like in December, I put some on. I had some extra from trimming. I was like, I'll put these on, and it's a game changer. You take it off, you touch your phone right away. You can do whatever you need to do, and then you put a new pair on, throw the other ones out or whatever. Now you don't. Yeah, I really like them.
Yeah, be careful. I put my Rip It glove. I made the mistake of drying a bunch of Rip It gloves. I took like 10 pairs home
in the dryer.
Yeah. Dude, they came out like a quarter of the size of what they originally were.
Perfect.
Like, damn it, I just wasted an hour there.
Yeah. It's that's another thing that's a little bit exciting. I like little shit like that where it's like, I don't know, let's see.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to say 1 in 10, but 1 in every couple is a banger, right? Where you're like, this is fucking awesome.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so good. You're going to be traveling around. You're going to be doing Fresco, coming up
Yeah,
to.
I've got, I saw where you had the Gilbert taping crew on here.
Mhm.
We're gonna be
Just
doing,
Allison.
just Allison.
Yeah, she had a great podcast. I think we had a good time. Yeah.
We're gonna be going live on TikTok here sometime after the first of the year.
Oh, sick. Yeah, okay.
That'll be cool.
She's got like 500,000 followers or something
I know.
crazy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Wow.
So funny story about that. I saw them with a predator, and I messaged them, "Hey, are you doing Predator Month or whatever?" And the response I got back was, "Yeah, we did." And Columbia said to reach out to you if we had any questions about content or whatever. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like that's weird, and whatever. And then she asked, "Are you on TikTok?" And I was like, "I just am." I'll go and find you. And then she finds me. Well, yeah, no shit. She's like fucking famous on
Right.
TikTok. It's because I was like, I didn't make the gap of like how she could have gotten into Columbia for running the Predator, because they weren't running around with it. Like, it was obviously a new tool to them, right? And then when I saw the TikTok thing, I was like, oh yes, the new generation of people. That's we had this great talk about like the future generation. And it's people like that give me all this fucking hope, because they're incredible tapers.
Oh, no, I've seen their work. Yeah.
Oh, dude, like working out of town, like doing badass shit.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's just the two of them, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Now they sub out. So I think they do large projects, but they do piecework. But it's just the two of them. Yeah, they're not part of a big crew. They're
That's cool.
subbing. Yeah. Yeah, pretty wild shit.
Yeah.
I like that too. Where like when would you have had that conversation outside of a podcast, right? Like you just wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't have reached out to them, or they wouldn't have reached out to you. I don't know how it happened, but
Oh no, I totally messaged. That was
but yeah,
100% me.
it just you're getting a lot more connections, and even myself, like through doing these, like I'm connecting with new people. Having you as
Yeah,
a connection is huge.
yeah, yeah. It's
So
gonna be cool, man. I think it's gonna be a good thing.
I think so.
Um,
I think the drywall community really needs something like this. I mean, the whole construction trades community as a whole.
I'm going maybe middle of January. It's called the Construction Life podcast,
Hmm.
and he's in a studio. Like it's a real setup.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's got 75,000 followers, something like that. And I'm gonna go sit in on a like a real sit down podcast. But like, I think this one has its place where we're gonna do shit like we just did. Don't have to watch your mouth. You don't have to have any sort of anything to talk about. But guys like Nick and guys like this next one I'm going to be on, those are the ones that are going to keep it going, like where they put the time and they're editing it. It's everything is bang on. The intro is sick. When he called me
Yeah.
a fucking powerhouse, I was like, it's me. If
Oh,
anyone's,
and I heard you guys bring my name up in it. I was all
I know.
starstruck.
I was like, yeah, he's like a surfer, dude. I had no other way to it's just so chill. You just look so chill. That little fucking on the bucket thing. Okay, so I attempted that today. What? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you
Oh, dude,
biff.
I was rolling on the floor.
Yeah.
So you tried it?
Oh, 100% today, because I was going to post it for this. There'd be none of that. I moved it the first time and I was like, this thing's going to explode. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did it with an empty one too. And I was like,
Oh
no,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, you got to do it with an empty one.
No,
I
I
mean,
was like, what if I do it with the full one? Because then there's some like weight to it. Maybe it'll allow it. They are not 300-pound buckets.
What's funny is I've got a 15-gallon bucket. I don't know if you've seen that name I post.
No.
Like for the tall boy, I'll mix up 3 boxes of mud, which is like 15 gallons of mud.
Yeah.
And, me and Wes we're just like, that's enough mud to keep us going for an hour and a half, I'd say, depending on what we're doing. If we're second coating,
Yeah.
it doesn't last very long.
That's
Like
crazy.
we'll go through like 10 boxes of mud on a good second coat day. Like we go through
Wow.
like I'm talking got 2 10-inch fat boys running. We'll bed 10,000 feet in a day if there's not much bead.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Yeah, we knocked some work out, like 10,000 feet in 5 days. Psh, gone.
Yeah. Well, that
I love it.
Brad's saying 10,000 board feet in 5.5 days or something like that. So that seems to be the norm when you fucking know what you're doing. And when you're running things properly, it cuts all your sanding time down.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
So I think a lot of that is like on some of my sites, I'm 2 days of sanding easy
yeah.
because I just, it's not bang on, but then touch ups and all this other shit. Right. But I account for that. Yeah.
Well,
All
and
right.
I mean, yeah, we probably ought to cut this one off.
All right. I guess we'll be back in a minute.